Insecurity is a song that's just about that, being insecure. But what are you being insecure about is basically what the whole song is trying to deal with. It's essentially about the fear of the future and kind of lying to yourself about how immortal you are as a human being. Or sometimes we can think that we're just, we'll live on forever. Sometimes relationships will live on forever, or that situations could last forever, a moment could last forever, when in fact those things are fleeting. Musically, the song started in this room when I was just messing around on this guitar, my 335 Gibson. It kind of started out with me messing around with like a Latin kind of riff, which something like this actually. I was going through a Mjolner, it's a Mythos pedal through a super reverb actually, but right now I'm using a Budda 212. But the riff was something like this actually. It was I can't really play it that well of what I was doing, but it started out like that, and the song started to be this completely different thing. It started taking on this whole different arrangement. I mean, the damn thing was like 7 minutes long. And then we took it to our producer, and he said, there's a lot of chapters in that story. Maybe we don't need all those chapters. And so in my mind, I took that as, let's start chipping away at some of the fat that the song doesn't need. Lyrically, there wasn't really a message either, which our producer made me aware. Initially, the song was kind of written about the expectation of bringing in a new life into our home in the form of a second child for me. That initial emotion didn't really fit with the emotion that the song itself was, or the energy the song was putting out. Musically, the song is pretty straightforward. It's a 4-chord progression, almost basically throughout the entire song. Starts in F major 7 to D minor 7 to A major to C major. Now that A major should actually be an A minor, but I like doing something that's called modal interchange. I personally don't fully understand it. I just know it when I hear it. I know it when I'm writing it, and I will delve much deeper into it just to understand exactly what the hell I'm doing when I'm writing a song. But the song originally had 2 other chord progressions stacked on top of this original chord progression. I started realizing that the song doesn't need any of those things. It just needed to really stick with one good chord progression, and this was it. F major 7, D minor 7, A major, C major. And that was basically the whole thing. When it came to finding our tone for the song, when we recorded Insecurity, Jim was using his PRS Archon along with a cabinet that was in an ISO box inside the control room. I had my pedals and this guitar in the control room, and I was feeding a signal to my then 1964 Super Reverb, a 66 or 65 Bassman head, and that was going through a Marshall Closeback 212. My vision was to really have the guitars in your face, little to no reverb, lots of low end, where it sounded like Jim and I were just playing straight into your eardrums. And I wanted the vocals to be in your face as well. I imagined this song to be very tight, very percussive, very danceable even, but still maintaining that Wild Wren rock sound. And of course, when I took that to our producer, Frenchie, he knew exactly what to do. And it literally took us half a day to set up, record, and finish. I think we mixed the song literally the next day, and it was all done. And what you're hearing was the final product. As far as pedals go, I basically play the entire chord progression with the Mjolner Overdrive, which is kind of like a Klon style circuit. I have that on the whole time. So going through something like that. Naturally, I have the reverb on right now. That's coming through my Strymon Volante, which does kick in at the end of the song. But also, I kind of have I have a vibe, a univibe going on pretty much the entire time as well. And it just kind of adds to that warbly, seasick kind of vibe. And it also kind of adds a really cool dimension if you're listening with headphones from the left side, which is, I think, mostly my parts, and then the right side, which is Jim's parts. I could be mistaken, or unless I do kick on the vibe at the bridge part. So it sounds kind of funky, a little phasey, which the vibe sounds like this. I really like the vibe on the bridge riff, because it almost sounds like a wah, but it's not a wah. It's a vibe. So for the really big distortion tones at the end of the song, I'm using it's actually a prototype fuzz that was made for me by BG Harding out in the UK. It's now called the Badger, which is essentially a Cobb, Prescription Electronics Cobb clone. It sounds amazing. It's by far my favorite fuzz pedal out there. And I have it to where I blend. I have the octave pretty much set full blast. I have the blend knob at about 1 o'clock, which keeps the original sound that I want, but also adds in the fuzz on top of that. So it just gets this really gnarly fuzz / overdrive sound tonality coming in. And coupled with a vintage amp like the 64 Super Reverb or the Bassman, but all that being pushed through a closed cabinet really gets a nice punch. A little something like this. Hopefully it comes through the camera, but. And then without the vibe, it sounds like this. You know, so that's that. And basically keeping everything on the bridge pickup throughout the entire, basically throughout the entire song. So, and that's Insecurity.
Coming to you if you're